off to writing land. It's hard to tell, but it's very hazy. Very smoky. It looks like there's a barbecue right there, but instead of there, it's the ground. There's a bunch of ash. Catch 'em.
Oh my god.
But it's also very hard to tell on camera.
Yeah.
Ash Monday.
Yeah. What are you doing?
We just had a really productive work session at Identity. Yeah?
Yeah.
I was writing and she was editing. Now we will get groceries, which is very exciting. I want to talk about lenses. It's really important for filmmakers and videographers and pretty much anyone that just uses cameras to understand how lenses work. So this is my crash course on lenses in general. The lens that's on this camera is a 24-105 Canon. The reason I like using this lens is because it has image stabilization, which is huge for people like me that like to do a lot of run and gun type of work. Understanding aperture is very important. A very simple way to process aperture is pretty much the lower the number, the brighter things can be. You can be in a dark room, and if your aperture is at like a 1.2 or something like that, you can still see things pretty well. Whereas something like this is at a 4, it's not gonna be nearly as good. The difference between 1 and 4 is quite big. When talking about the focal length, the length that the lens can pretty much see things, so 105 can zoom in really far, 24 is decently wide, not too wide, but it's okay. And then you have all of those ranges in between. When you film a lot of run and gun type of material, you can't swap out lenses very fast, so having something with such a long range of focal range is really handy. When I first started out, I got this guy, which is, man, I don't even remember what a 17-50 Tamron. This actually helped me out on a lot of shoots, literally like about 4 years ago when I didn't have too much money. It was cheap, it had a good range, 17-50. It's a really cheap lens, 17-50, you got a middle ground range there, not a bad lens. And it's a 2.8. This is a really, really good wide lens. The Tokina 11-16 is a 2.8 and it's so good. If I remember correctly, it's not that expensive. You can look it up, it's very simple to look up. Tokina 11-16. So far, all the lenses I showed you are zoom lenses, meaning they can zoom in and out for different focal lengths. But if you want to have an even wider aperture, meaning a lower number, then you can get a prime lens. So I have a series of prime lenses. These are Rokinon lenses. Several years ago, I got 3 of them as a package for, I forgot how much it was. I think it was like $1,200 or something like that. Pretty good for prime lenses. This is a 24 and it's at a 1.5. So that's really good. The only problem is they're manual lenses. So like for exactly what I'm doing right now, I couldn't put this on and dip back and forth because it wouldn't be able to adjust focus, whereas the camera right now, the 24-105, also has autofocus, so when I move, it's adjusting and keeping me in focus. But this can be really handy if you can stay behind the camera and adjust and making sure everything's in focus. When your aperture is at a lower number, lots more is out of focus. You have to be that much more careful to make sure things are in focus. Now, if you want to just zoom like crazy, you can get this sucker. This is the Sigma 70-200. It's a beast. It's huge, as you can see. It's pretty big. It's got this sucker too, you know. This has image stabilization. It's not super good. It's okay. But it has auto, manual focus. 70-200 is really far. A lot of people go for the Canon 70-200, but it's a lot more expensive, and this really is quite amazing for video standards. Sigma 70-200, 2.8. The last lens I want to show you is this one. This is an Olympus lens. This is fixed at a 12mm. Fixed, just like the prime lenses, just means it's fixed in one position, if you want to think about that. So it's never zooming, it's just whatever that focal length is. This is on the GH4 with a metabones, and the cool thing with the metabones is it reduces aperture. So I guess an easy way of putting it is it's even more brighter, if you want to make it really simple. This is a really, really good lens. I think it's like an $800 lens. I bought this years ago thinking I was gonna get like a huge drone that can only use these types of lenses. I ended up buying the lens, and then I didn't buy the drone, but I realized it was perfect for this, so I kept it. If you're on a budget, then my biggest recommendation is know what you're going to be filming. Lenses can serve all types of purposes. I have a production company, so we use different lenses for different types of shoots. But if you're really low on cash and you really just need a good lens, I usually recommend getting a zoom lens that has decent aperture, that's decently priced. The problem with shooting on something like this, for instance, is let's just say I have a mic on it and this is pretty wide. I'm gonna see shadows of the mic on subjects that are really, really close. You can't really zoom in too close because lenses have a certain distance that they can stay in focus. It won't be able to focus on my hand right there. So you have to be really mindful of things like that. But if you can zoom in, and now the shadow won't be there because the shadow would be casting kind of like right here. Whereas if you can zoom in, the shadow wouldn't be in frame. I don't know if that makes sense. I think it does. So that's why I highly recommend the Canon 24-105. It is at a 4 at the aperture, but if you're smart and you understand your settings that you're in, you can easily get away with shooting at a 4. If you're outside, it really doesn't matter much. If you're indoors in a lot of low lighting, a 4 compared to 2.8 might not make the biggest difference. So you usually will need some type of lighting or bump up your ISO a decent amount without getting too much grain and loss of information. I did get a deal when I bought a C100. It was able to come with one of these for $500, which was a steal because at the time I think the 24-105 was $1,000. So it saved $500. Pretty good. Image stabilization helps to keep the lens from feeling like it's going like this to feeling like it's going like that. Just smooths it out a bit, and it makes it actually quite a big difference, especially when you're going handheld. If you're always on tripods, it doesn't make the biggest difference, or actually doesn't make any difference at all. But if you are running gun, if you are moving your camera around a lot, stabilization is pretty important. Just make sure you understand what aperture and focal length are, and you should be pretty good to go when it comes to picking the right lens. Okay, all done.